When you start your business, no one ever prepares you for what's in store. So finding someone else who just gets it is sometimes the thing that can keep you pushing toward that big business goal.
We're turning our Zoom coffee chats into a weekly, unfiltered podcast for online business owners. They were so good, we always wanted to record them and repurpose them for content anyways. And that's on being a social media manager.
I'm Jessica Sheehy.
And I'm Madeleine Digan, and this is
#managed. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of #managed. If you're watching us on YouTube, then you're probably freaking out because we're sitting here in a hotel room in somewhat matching, like same but different pajamas with like furry sleeves, and it's so much fun.
It's giving like limited to justice for girls. Cheetah girls, we've gotten cheetah harmonies in the background wearing purple matching ones because obviously the podcast producer had to be here as well, matching us.
Absolutely.
I also can't wait for them to see the pictures and videos.
Yeah, so if you listened last week, then you know that Harmony and I flew out to Charleston to, enjoy Charleston. Like, we've had great food, good drinks, like, good laughs. It's been so fun. But we did a ton of content this morning and last night, which we will go into that. That's stories for that. I think anytime you're traveling nowadays, like, it's always crazy and always makes for, like, a good story. Mm-hmm. But I think also being a social media manager is being super accommodating to different things that happen, like things your clients throw at you, like a travel day, like mishap.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Or just, like, so many different things that can just really happen. So we're excited for the content. We worked with a really awesome photographer, so really excited to share her work. And you know, when you work with like a fellow creative who just kind of gets your vision, like that,
just like that has probably been, again, I know that has been my favorite part of these past 2 days. It's just we were walking earlier on King Street and Harmony got video of us. Obviously, we were just great, like our marketing ideas were like, this. Or also yesterday, Harmony wasn't here, but Alexandra, our photographer, where there was a point where Jessica was trying to explain something, like, and I just understood. Like, I knew her vision. I was like, yeah, but we didn't use, like, any words.
No, it was definitely a game of charades.
Yes.
Social media manager charades.
Yeah, that was like,
you get the vision of what I'm trying to do, and then Madeleine was like, yeah, like, I totally get that. We needed, like, these props, get in this position, and then the photo came to life. So, yeah. I think that's my favorite part of content creation. When, of course, like, we can walk through our, like, whole planning process and everything, but I love when you're in the moment, and, like, it's almost like you start hearing, like, ooh, like, everyone's like, ooh, like, I have this, like, idea of something that we should do. Like, to me, that content usually does I don't want to say so much better, but it does a little bit better because I think it's a little bit more like authentic in the moment, kind of like tapping into like what social media was honestly created for. Way back when.
And I feel like too, I have 5,000 thoughts going on at the same time, and I like you follow each one of my train of thoughts, and it's just like, to me, that is truly like a love language too, where it's just like I can be having 3 conversations and we're like bouncing around and it's like, yep, okay. And again, I just feel like that's everything you just said. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess we should like back up to like, well, it was just yesterday. I feel like it's been like a whole week, but it's been like, we're not even like 48 hours in yet. And so meeting for the first time ever, we've known each other for 6 years. If you're just now tuning into the podcast, or maybe you like missed that in future, past episodes, we've known each other for a really long time. And it's so fun when you meet someone in person that you kind of like already know. Like we already feel like we know each other. I mean, we record every single week. We talk, we like, we talk about business, marketing, and like do all the podcast planning and things. And we do talk about life and fun things here and there, but just to like meet someone in person, and I don't know, like was it what you expected? I feel like I have to like reporter, like, by the way.
I think yes, it was everything and more. Honestly, I feel like, okay, let's also back up to Harmony's mishap. Like I feel like let's back up.
We have to like keep backing up.
Yes, because you got in 50 minutes early.
And my plane left like 15 minutes late, and we got like landed 50 minutes early, and I was like, oh man, like, because I was I think I was scheduled to land like 40 minutes like before Harmony was planning to land, but in all honesty, like I had to check a bag and I didn't know, like, Charleston Airport, really great to navigate, by the way.
It's so
like
small.
Good plug for if you're ever traveling, like it's a good airport.
And meanwhile, I'm getting my hair done and she's like, "Oh, I'm 50 minutes early."
Landed, my bag was like one of the first ones like on the belt. Like it took me no time to, because it's not a big airport, to get from like A to B. And honestly, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna like go like get food, get like a Diet Coke, get something. And I'm pretty sure I waited in line for like 50 minutes for Chick-fil-A and there was like no one in line. I don't know what took forever to make
so.
Like yeah. So, but yeah, so that was crazy. And so
I was getting my hair done. I was like, "Ooh, I'll be there soon, girly pop." But okay, so once that was done, I was probably, because I originally had planned on being there at 2:30. I got there by 3, which okay. There's so much to unpack here. Where it's like, the timeline in my head where I was like, okay, then I planned on getting us to the Airbnb by 3:30 because we had our makeup done. But Jessica ran into the Airbnb, like that communication then was like, can we check in?
Yeah.
Can't we check in?
Because check-in's at 4 and it's like,
we were like, can we get early check-in?
Yeah, like we just want an hour, like if possible, like even at that point, like 30 minutes. And so we got there at 30 minutes till like at 3:30, and so I didn't hear back from them, and they said that we could have the later checkout, and so I was like, okay, I think 30 minutes is fine for the lack of communication. So it's hard that's the one thing about like planning anything, is having so many different people that you're coordinating with and communicating with and just waiting to hear back from them. Like I know we have many layers of that. It's hard to like, sometimes it's hard to rely on people to kind of do those different things, and I think that's why you have to just be like quick on your feet and just figure out like, like we made it work. Like it wasn't like the most ideal like travel day, but like it definitely happened. And so like we'll kind of like go back to the actual like shooting. And so Harmony's plane was maintenance issues and had to deplane and get on a whole new plane and connect in Atlanta, then come to Charleston. Like as crazy as it could be, like honestly happened, which was just
And because again, with the planning process too, so we had an entire document of reels. Like we have this document of like, okay, reels we're going to film, and a lot of them obviously were our first initial reaction to meeting each other. Obviously we had to pivot because the original plan was like Harmony would be here, we would get each other's point of view, Harmony would be like from the side, and obviously we got some, and we obviously, when we went back to pick Harmony up from the airport, we got my reaction to meeting Harmony as well, which was equally as awesome. But okay, so that kind of shows you. So now I feel like we're going through, like now we're at the Airbnb. And
which, by the way, was so it was not our first Airbnb that we booked, so that's the other thing that was a little bit of back and forth miscommunication, that eventually it got booked by some other party, and again, lack of communication on other ends, but
it worked out for the best, because when I tell you all, we were sleeping like queens in a king size bed. We each had a bed. So cute. Again, cannot wait.
Yeah, no, so good, like the best, because I think our first place was like it was so nice, like very on brand, like we all loved it instantly when we found it. But this one was the first one was like a 1 bed 1 bath, so that would have been super tight, like to like shoot. But I think we all kind of knew it, like, okay, sometimes you have to just like make it work. But yeah, this one was so good. It was much more room for all of us, and really cool scenes that we could like play around with and just have fun and create really fun content. And one thing that I think was always like recurring for like my thought with like personal brand photo shoots is they've always been so formal for me. And I've worked with a couple of different photographers, and again, always so formal. And I don't know if that's because I'm like a girl boss and like all these things, but like I work from home. I'm like in pajamas. I'm in athleisure. Like I'm not in like honestly like this coordinated pajamas, but like
but now I might be now.
Yeah, maybe now. But, you know, it's one thing where it's like, I don't need to show up like in a blazer, and like that to me is not my personality. Because honestly, if I'm going to wear a blazer personally, like I'm wearing it in a more fun way. Like I'm wearing it with like a fun skirt, or I don't know, something to really like dress it up to, so it's like a fashion statement and not, oh, she's going into the office.
Yes. Okay, wait, let me circle back to so you asked me what my initial reaction was, right?
Yeah.
What was your initial reaction?
Good question. Yeah, no, it was so exciting. I felt like it was like I mean, I guess like we weren't catfish. Like that was good. Like I feel like in social media you have to like, which honestly, like growing up, that was one of my favorite shows. I don't know why. Maybe that was like the start of being a social media manager. Was like,
oh, I feel like we'd be amazing. Like I feel like we should, like that could for sure be a thing we did.
Yeah, like I could definitely like produce the show. Like,
yeah.
Say, like,
I could. I will find them.
Yes.
I will find them.
Yes. Yeah. No, but all jokes aside, it was so good to like finally meet someone who you've had like so many conversations. And I think that's like the beauty of it. Like we've had tons of Zooms like in the past, like like doing #manage, that I felt like we went through like so many different seasons. And it's just exciting to like meet and like geek out and like have fun with someone who also like professionally does what you do. Because for me, that's pretty rare. Like, I don't have too, like, many friends who do social media or are entrepreneurs. So there's so many different layers that they just don't get. And on those levels, we can't connect. And so it's just great to, like, be with someone that you know. And it's like, okay, we're going to have really cool content. Like, we're going to do, like, a podcast, like, together, which is so fun. Which I think just makes us, like, more excited for, like, more content days in the future. Like, more events. Wink, wink. I can't, like, wink, by the way. Like... I can't
really? Can you like roll your tongue?
No, I can't roll my tongue. I can't even whistle. I feel like I have like no like, you know, those.
Are
like,
you like
quirky...
double jointed?
No. Okay, we'll find one. There's gotta be something.
I got it. Because again, I feel like we are discovering new things. Did you guys know Jessica did karate?
Oh yeah, I don't like. Oh, even we like needed Harmony's reaction on
Right.
So yeah, we were talking about different sports that we did growing up, and actually, so like growing up, I was an only child for 10 years. There's 10 years between my sister and I only have one sibling. And I think like my parents did a great job of like putting me in so many different things, because honestly, looking back at it, it makes so much sense why I couldn't stick to one thing. And I always wanted to do a lot. So like, and I was sharing too, like growing up, like when I first grew up, or when I was young, I did like dance classes and like dance camps, and I never really did cheerleading. I was not super coordinated. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not.
I was the wannabe. I was definitely the wannabe cheerleader. Just like I had the peppy, but not.
But then I was like, I like dance, and you know, dance and cheer, they don't really like mingle, you know. So I did dance for a little bit, and then I did soccer. Probably that was the longest sport that I did, like growing up, ever since I was little. And like I did indoor and outdoor, and like my dad was my coach. I also did softball, which my dad was my coach in softball, was just awful. I feel like he's like living out his like his like ex-college career, like baseball dreams. I'm just, you know, here playing softball. I did that for a little bit, but didn't really love it. And I did karate for a really long time, like several years. It's like one thing. So like another thing, which I think we talked about, growing up, I moved around so much. And they always say like great entrepreneurs come from people who move around a lot, like because you're used to like change and adversity and like so many different things. So I don't know like my specific like number now, because I think I did this around like COVID, and I've moved like 2 times since the pandemic happened. So, but my number then I'll definitely like count. I can like update it for the newsletter. But before COVID, it was like 13 times, like 13 different places that I lived.
That's crazy.
Which is so crazy. And I feel like people are probably like, oh, like army brat, like I'm like no.
Just
like
funsies.
No, just like my parents love to like.
Where were you born?
In Atlanta.
Okay.
In Atlanta. Okay. I feel like I always have to like clarify, because people are like, okay, like it's a whole like city. But so anyway, moving around a lot. And I think that's why I liked sports. And for me, like karate was something that I just felt like I could like the routine and like sticking to it. So I did it for a long time. I made it to a red belt, which I was
belt.
2 belts away from a black belt. But in a reality, like, if you guys know anything about, like, karate and the practice of it, like, that was several years.
Yeah.
But, like, one day I was, like, getting ready to go, and I, like, told my parents, I was like, you know what? I think I'm just, like, I'm done with karate. And my parents, literally to this day, still don't. And I'm like, that's, like, years of my life that I would have to do.
My question is, could you, like, so if you have a red belt now, like, is karate, like, could you, like, let's say you picked it back up, would you, like, have to start over, or you would start from your red belt?
Honestly, I think you would have to, like, because you, like, test for the belts. Like, I think they would literally, you would go test privately. Because I remember, like, when I was doing it, like, people would come from, like, other, like, you know, like, dojos, and then they would, like, come, like, Cobra Kai is my favorite show, by the way, like, on Netflix, which is so, like,
that's
like,
awesome.
Karate Kid.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
Favorite. Love that. But,
hilarious.
Yeah, but honestly, like, it's such a, like, workout. I haven't, where I, like, live now, there's, like, a boxing studio, and I haven't taken a class there, and, you know, I'm not, like, a big workout class person. Like, I just like to, like, do my own thing. I think I'm my own, like, best trainer, and, I think I would probably really like boxing.
Yeah, I feel like I've thought this too, yeah.
But I'm also, like, scared at how much physical, like, assertion it's going to take for me to actually do that, so.
Yep.
But yeah, so yeah, we've uncovered a lot of things.
Yeah, like, okay, yep, so that's your fun fact. Okay. Going back, okay, so I feel like we've discussed the initial reaction, yes.
Yeah.
Uncovering fun facts. I feel like just in general, our conversation, for me, it's been so nice for you guys to be here, because again, right now, as the Buzzing Blonde, I'm working as a solopreneur, and so, like, it's nice to have, like, coworkers where we're doing stuff together, and like, that's been my favorite part. And just, again, we're unapologetically me. Like, I feel like I always am unapologetically me, but again, where it's like I don't have to, like, over explain myself, you know, or to like understand where, like, my mind's going with, like, my marketing ideas, and just in general, like, seeing, like, a peek into how, like, we run our businesses day to day, almost. Like, this morning when we were outside our second venue, I saw Jessica downloading stories for a client. I'm like, oh, okay, you guys don't schedule your posts on, or schedule your Instagram stories on later either. And it's just like, no, because you can't add your polls, you can't add your links. And I'm like, exactly, where it's like, it is so annoying. Like, every morning though, it's like, download, upload. And so later, this is for you. If you're listening, you need to give us that. Jessica just said you now can upload YouTube Shorts, but, like, we didn't ask for that. We didn't ask for that.
Just told me this afternoon you could do that. I was like, oh, interesting. But it's one of those things where it's like, I always think, like, to me, what's the most, like, time efficient thing that I can do? And I think some people might think, well, if you schedule them ahead, later will notify you. But honestly, I think sometimes you lose the quality a little bit, like, in doing that. And honestly, I just know in the back of my head, like, okay, I'm going to go to this Canva file, I'm going to pull this, like, it's
quicker.
Yeah, like, I can do that. I'll airdrop it, like, link sticker, poll, like, push sticker, whatever I'm putting on it, and post, and done. Like, easy peasy.
Yeah, no, same here. Yeah, it's just easier. Yeah, but again, trying to explain that to clients sometimes, where they're like, you can just upload your Instagram stories later, and then you're just like, I mean, I could, but every reason Jessica just mentioned is why I don't. Yeah.
And I think I do know, like, later is my favorite scheduler. Like, same. I've dabbled in a ton, unless something comes out on the market that's, like, absolutely insane. I don't see myself, like, jumping ship. Or, like, if I develop a thing of my own, which if anyone knows a developer, like, let me know. I have, like, 30 app ideas in my notes app.
And they're good. Phone. And they are good ideas.
But it's one of those things where sometimes you don't need a tool that does everything for you, because then I feel like you sometimes need that, like, human element, like, running, like, social media, that I think is okay to have. Like, and, you know, like, I like, because I know when I'm in there posting, that's when I'm engaging. That's when I'm, like, checking the DMs and checking comments and, like, things. Because if I'm not in there doing it, then, like, yeah, I'll go back in and check those things. But, like, you know, maybe I won't. Like, maybe I'll, like, look at it, like, on my task, and be like, oh, like, I could push that off till later, when it's, like, you kind of push off the biggest thing, like, the people of social media.
I agree with that. Yeah.
No, it's good to, like, talk through, like, things and kind of see, like, the process and, like, those, like, would we have ever talked about that, like, on a Zoom, like, planning call? Probably not. No. But yeah, it's one of those things to just think through. It's like, so many people, I think we've talked about this, like, they preach, like, community and collaboration over competition. But, like, honestly, like, can you name, like, actual, like, other, like, similar entrepreneurs who, like, do the same thing? And it's like, honestly, like, if Madeleine was like to us, like, hey, like, I have this idea, and it's like, okay, how do we, like, brainstorm, like, almost like kind of like mastermind to, like, help, like, kind of, like, fuel those ideas, and, like, vice versa, like, oh, I'm thinking about offering this, should I do this, should I do that? Like, to me, that's, like, the beauty in business. Because I feel like, even too, like, if we say we had, like, a groundbreaking idea, and we were like, we should both do it. Like, we should both do it. Because I feel like it would be for different people. Like,
100%. I literally, when we were at our second venue this morning, I joked with him. I was like, I kind of want to pick your brain about my services. Because, full transparency, I am kind of rethinking a lot of my services right now. Just because, I don't know, I feel like you're always rethinking your services, or always seeing how you can improve your services and make your business more money, make it streamline and all this stuff. And even me saying that, and that conversation it was just so comforting, because it's like, oh, you've also thought the same things I have, and just it felt less, again, where it's like collaboration over
no, I think there's so many social media managers out there, and there's so many different ways we can, like, offer the same thing. And I think, but still, it'd be so unique, like, for different things. And like you said, I think being a social media manager, like, you know, the term, like, multi-passionate, like, creative or entrepreneur, like, I think all social media managers are multi-passionate.
100%. And this is a kind of a side note, but I feel like I need to bring this, because we talked about this last episode, or again, if you guys listen. So over this past weekend, kind of bringing in our segments, over this past weekend, I did some content for a makeup artist at the Sarah Cameron Mansion in Charleston. And just that service in general, where I think I told you guys, like, that's not something I normally offer, but I'm like, this could be good. Like, this could be something fun that I do offer on the weekends to wedding vendors. Again, I'm in the beauty industry, but again, we've talked about how there's bridal beauty and all this stuff. But what was funny is all the vendors saw me doing this, and a few came up to me and they're like, are you doing Instagram? I was like, yeah. And they're like, could you send me that? And I'm like, sure, why not? I'll send you that. So again, but that just shows you so many niches. And, like, I'm saying that because I'm like, if you guys want to offer that. Like, that is
right, because the wedding industry is huge. Oh my god, it's like billion.
And even if it's not your niche, but, like, again, that is something you offer, where it's like, you just need some quick like, because again, to pay bills, like, I'm there, I understand it, and it was like quick. It was $250 for, I think, like 3 hours, so like, not bad.
Like, plus a cool location.
Oh, and like again, and again, I knew I was going to be exposed to other vendors. Like, again, I like consciously was like, might as well.
Yeah.
And I was like introduced to the coolest florist here. Like, this wedding, easily $100,000 just in the florals, and I was just like,
oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
And no, I was like, ooh,
but
again, Charleston weddings. Whole other game park, guys.
Yeah. Also, too, like, even if you feel like weddings and, like, even, like, content creation, like, on day of, like, isn't something you want to do, like, but if you're new to social media management and content, like have a wedding be, like, your guinea pig.
Yeah.
Or, like, learning things and client communication and, you know, kind of doing and having all this content. What do you do with that content? Like, perfect way, because then, you know, okay, you have like happy like bride, if you're like delivering it to her, she can post it that weekend, so she's not just having to reshare tags and like share with the vendors. Like, it's a great way to just kind of get your like feet in the door and figure out what you want to do.
And also for photographers, if we have photographers listening, where that could be, because I know some, again, there's different structures where it's like, I know some photographers where it's like they offer like, it's another package where they'll offer B-roll, where it's like, again, they're not videographers, but maybe you partner with a social media manager where, because that can like, again, you could be pulling in a lot, like your ideal brides, essentially, because I feel like in today's world, brides they want, and this is what cracked me up though. So the bride was a Gen Z too, which, not to say anything, but I guess I do assume like, and I shouldn't, because we talk about this a lot where it's like, oh, the young kid, they can do social media, like, her transitions, like I was like coaching her through it, and she's like, oh, like yeah, so it like made me feel good to know where it's like she was gonna be really excited with some of the transitions, because she gave me a list of like the reels and TikTok she wanted, and of course where it's like I threw in, so I was like, why don't we do this? You know, and it's like kind of fun for you to test like your consulting side too, where it's like, let's do this.
Yeah. I want to throw in something that you and Alexandra, photographer, talked about today that I actually think is like such a good idea. Like, and I think it's okay, and I hope I'm not like totally giving away trade secrets here. But I think like if you are looking for clients, because I think that's the number one thing. I mean, right, we're always looking for clients to, one, like get booked out, like have a lot of clients that we're working with, like make more money. Also, two, clients come and go. Like, it's a revolving door. Like that, it definitely makes sense at any season in business, whether you're solopreneur to agency. But like partnering with photographers who have so much content and like becoming like what would you say, like, I don't know, like a referral partner or something. Like, okay, you know, your photographer, like friend or like person you network with has so much content. How do I take that content and turn it into social media posts? Like, you know, they already have the content. Can I take that and use that for like Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and Pinterest, whatever platforms they're on? And then you're kind of already like a couple steps ahead. You have the visuals, and you can kind of like easily step into clients, because, you know, kind of to that point, people don't use like their full galleries. Like, I know we probably use our full galleries to like, oh my gosh, like, I use it till the point where I'm like so tired of looking at myself in that one outfit in that one photo, and I'm like, I've used this in 17 different things. I think it's time to book a new photo shoot.
And like I also feel like that's a good yes to everything you just said, and something that just made me think of too is, by working with a photographer, you also are going to be able to give that client, how do I want to say this? You're going to be able to tell them, like direct them, almost like you're the creative director, where it's like, let's make sure we get horizontal and vertical posts, because again, for Pinterest, like your brain is already thinking of all the platforms that client is on, where it's like, ooh, this would be a great email header kind of thing, where it's like you're seriously already thinking in social media terms and ways where the photographer might not be. Where like, yes, she's there to gather the images, but you know, too, where it's like, and when you're putting together that mood board, where it's like, no, this is kind of the vision I have for a 404 page on your website, even like where it's like if you want to do a oops, like
Yeah.
I don't know.
And like meanwhile, like replace, like we have like a New Girl gif. Like I think it's like Schmidt from New Girl. But no, I'm like, I'll forever keep that.
Like, no, exactly. But again, the fact that that's where our mind is going. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think it's a great way to just kind of like partner with photographers in that way. And I like, even if too, like if you love content creation, like being more like kind of like, I like the idea of thinking about like, okay, you think about like a wedding vendor, right? Like they're probably working like a Friday, Saturday, like maybe a Sunday, like on the weekend, like have a couple of days per month, depending on like where you're at, the wedding season and all of the like all of those things that go into planning that. But like think about when you're like working with clients, like you can kind of do like a similar setup, like a similar like almost like a retainer for content creation that I don't think most social media managers think about. Like I think because even like speaking from my own, like I think about content creation, like let me get in there, capture a ton of stuff and stretch it out. That's honestly, that's how I've like been a content creator, like as a social media manager for the longest time, even up until this point. But kind of like what we were thinking about, like yesterday in a conversation, like we have a client who has like a new product line and there's like 6 products. Like we don't need to shoot all 6 products. Like how can we like really think about a couple of the products, create some really cool content, and then come back to it next month, do the next product, like kind of go down the line, and then you really start building like a good quality library that you could work with. Like that's one thing that I'm kind of like thinking about just after this like time, like okay, we always need content, so I'm like already thinking about ahead for like our next like shoot, like all these like different things, which not to be like okay diminish like what we did here, but it's like we're gonna need that content sooner rather
and honestly content shoots are always like one of my favorite parts of what we do. Like I love content days, I love photo shoots, and that adding on to their clients, that the product that you brought, like that has been so fun for me to see your clients, where it's like now, because like honestly like I'm following them now, and it's like now I get to like hype Harmony and Jessica up, where it's just like hey girl, because I know they're gonna respond and it's gonna be fun.
It's like when you're like talking to usually you're talking to yourself, like, okay, let me like talk to my personal
like goes through, like I'll even like through the client's account, like yeah girl, I don't do girl, but like you guys
essentially it's like the social media manager's girl is commenting on a post you made, then replying to the comment that you made, and then like keep the chain going. No, I think that's totally fine, because it's like you know, you just gotta like hype it up a little bit, even if it's yourself to yourself. It's like it's shaking your own hand.
Always, again, it's like your mom, like my mom back in the day would be really good about. Also, see, my mom's not probably listening to my podcast, but she is one of the main cheerleaders. But if you are mom, hi mom. But she would used to, like back in the day, would always make sure to comment on all my clients. Like, and again, I would if I were to tell my mom go follow this account, she will go follow it. But I think I've just kind of been like, meh. It's fine, mom, whatever.
Agree. It's so funny, but no, it's cool. It's cool to like do, and even like we got to go like in person to like one of the places that your client has, which is so cool. And even we saw the other one, like it was so cool to like see it in person, and just like I don't know, just like it's like a cool like moment, right? Like it's not like it's like seeing your like product on a shelf. Not that I've ever experienced that, but like that's kind of like how that's kind of like how I feel. Like it's like oh wow, that's like so.
Again, it's like for cheerleader, where it's like a proud mom moment, honestly, where it's just like, oh, because I feel like too, you guys hear me talking about the boutique, and you hear me like just in general, where it's just like, I feel like there's a lot of those memes where it's like, I saw this recently where it was like, I need there to be a reality TV show of me, or no, it's like take your best friend to work day so I can see the characters in their life. And so, like, obviously I have somebody below me at the boutique, and it's just like they actually got to meet her, and just in general too, where I feel like if you were to actually meet one of my clients, or like if I were to meet your client, it'd be like, and nothing bad. It'd just be like, we actually, this was one of the, we talked about this last night, where, so they were talking about this product that they brought, and they pulled it out, and I was like, this is not what I thought the packaging would have looked like. And they were like, oh, I was just like, this was not what I had envisioned. And then we got on the topic of what our clients look like too, where it's just like, you kind of, you know, like, so you have the product, let's take the product in the boutique, for instance, where it's like in your head, you're envisioning these people, because I don't know, I feel like certain traits you give these people characteristics.
You're like, then, okay, this is how I feel after like a meeting. So this is like top of mind.
Yes. And then it's like, then you pull up a picture and you're like, oh, okay, yes, maybe. Even like with Brennan in the beginning, before I knew any of his coworkers, again, his boss, for instance, not what I had envisioned.
100%. Yeah, with everyone that Ryan works with, I'm like, wow, he describes you guys in like a strange way, like strange and good. Like it could go good or bad, right? Like it's like that's not. we need to work on our like conversation skills here a little bit, like, because then I like meet them and I'm like, and then I meet their like spouses or their partners, and I'm like, I'm really confused with that. But no, I think that's so funny. But it's good to like have the like personal like connections, because I think sometimes like just being fully online, like you don't like you kind of like miss out on that. Like we have one client who I think in a couple months is like the product is going to be in stores, and I'm like how do I like figure that out? Like it's going to be a little bit of a drive, but I'm like I think I could do that. Like that could be cool. Even I don't know if I shared this yet, even with you, Madeleine, but last year I did like one of the clients that I worked with, she did like a team retreat, and all of her team were contractors, and she has a beach house in North Carolina. And she like invited everyone there for like I think it was like 2 nights, like 3 days, or like 2 days, 2 days. And it was so much fun to like, all we did, like we sat around in like sweatpants and we ate like good like junk food. We went to like different like taco places, like seafood places. And we honestly, since we're like everyone's a contractor with their own business, we masterminded for like 2 days straight. And we all like, she had these big white like post notes, so I'm like, dang it, we should have like got those. We could have like done crazy things, but like we talked through people's businesses, we asked questions, like we asked uncomfortable questions, like we gave ideas, like we like supported and like but also challenged in a good way, like and also we like played games and like laughed and cried and like had so much fun like throughout it. But yeah, it was just so fun to kind of like have that like connection. And I think a lot of times there's not that connection like when it comes to that. So I think we've hinted about it on the podcast, but we definitely like one goal for 2024 is, I'm just gonna like put it out there, it's like to have an in-person event. Like we've been wanting to do that for a while, and like honestly, like we after like pulling off like the two different days, like today and yesterday of shooting, we're like, why not? Like we can definitely pull it off. Like we pulled this off and like pivoted, adapted, and like it's gone smooth, like given everything that we've had. And like we're gonna have great content, like great podcasts, like just kind of great like after this. And
sometimes it just takes your business bestie like to just be like, why? Because sometimes I feel like it makes it a little less scary. And again, it comes back to the collaboration over where it's like we've both been wanting, I feel like again for years, like it just makes sense for both of our businesses, but also like now more than ever with the podcast, where it's just like
agreed.
And I feel like we've talked about this on the podcast before, where it's just like our networks coming together and just we both have an amazing online community. I feel like we're just like I feel the love.
Even when I always like think like when I always think sometimes, like even now, I don't know why, it's just like a thought in my head, I'm like, my network, like is it big? Like, and I think about like my personal, my professional, and I'm like, oh, I actually like know a ton of people like doing a ton of cool things that I feel like sometimes you just like forget. And that's one thing, like I know we always get the question in the Facebook group where it's like, where can I find a client? Where can I do this? Like lean into your network. Like lean into your network so much, because even when I first started, like my first couple of clients weren't people that I knew. It was just people that I honestly met online and through connections. I think I shared even wedding industry, so kind of full circle back to that moment at the start. But leaning into that network, because if they don't become a client now, like those are the people who will refer you. They're like, you know what? I think Jessica told me she does XYZ. Someone just told me they launched a business and they need social media and they need all of these different things. Like, let me connect the two of them. Like, even I always joke, like my dad is a salesman, like through and through. And the amount of random, like, leads that come across my desk, if you will, from my dad are so out there. And so my husband Ryan and I always joke, because a couple of years ago, my dad, this was maybe like right when we like started our businesses. My dad, because we were living in Hoboken, New Jersey at the time. My dad was in Nashville sitting at a bar.
Could it have been Taylor Swift's dad? Because that would have been so cool.
No, he does know Taylor Swift's dad. I don't know if I've ever like talked about that.
But yeah, guys, we podcast, like when we joke that Taylor's gonna be one day. We have connections.
He does know.
It's our 5 degrees. of separation. Okay, anyways, continue. Sorry.
Yes, and so he's sitting at the bar talking to this lady, and she's like, "Oh, like I own this like company, like it's a bakery, it's like all these things, like it's in I think there's somewhat national, but it's Milk Bar. Have you heard of them?
That's kind of a big
because that's how my dad sold it.
Deal.
He's like, that's literally how he sold it as.
Are you telling me Milk Bar is one of your clients?
No.
Oh my god,
yeah. I definitely wouldn't have like told you, like we would have had like
so Milk Bar, like oh my gosh, like oh my gosh.
Yes. So this was like when I like first started. And honestly now, like, do I just like reach out and be like, hey, like, years ago my dad met you at a national bar, don't know what he said, but like, hey, like led here. But it's so funny because they actually just did a commercial with like American Express or something like, you know, they always feature like a small business, but they're selling like a credit card or a product or something. Yeah. And it was Milk Bar, and it was the founder. And I looked at Ryan, I'm like, oh my god, like remember when like my dad found that great lead? Now the kind of leads that my dad
Milk
found.
Bar, I'm still processing. Yeah. Like I thought you were gonna say somebody who like I did like.
No, it's basically like the Coca-Cola of like baked goods.
Yes.
And now the leads that he sends to me are, and to no fault like of these entrepreneurs, like by any means. Right. But like people who like one person who sells like bags like out of like the trunk of their car, and not to downplay the hustle by any means, but like that's not the level of established that I just need to know that I'm gonna do a great job. To be honest, I can't tell you how I would market that kind of company. Like so that like other people who like have these ideas, I'm like, Dad, send them to me when they're Milk Bar. Like not when they're like thinking about Milk Bar.
That is wild. Even here, like we were walking down King Street and I pointed into a boutique and literally Jessica goes, oh, her twin sister was it a client?
Yeah,
and I was just like,
her twin sister.
Okay, Jessica. And this is like a big, amazing boutique, like high end, like I'm not making that money yet, but one day.
It's always like I feel like it's always funny like the people that you know, and even like anytime I like meet someone new, I can always tell, and I don't know if you guys listening have heard this too, but it's people who are like, oh, like I'm gonna offer you more business in the future.
Oh yeah.
Or when they tell me that, I'm like red flag. But the people who come in and they're like, hey, I know this person, I'll connect you with them. Like those are the true like network winners in business.
Yes.
And that's the difference, I think.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm still processing Milk Bar.
No, I know. Yeah.
I'm like, that's like cooler than, well, I don't know, karate's still pretty cool, but.
Yeah. No, that's it. Also, my, like, I think people, like, tell me this all the time. I, like, deliver news in, like, such a very flat way, and people are like, I don't know,
give me time to process, where it's like,
I'm like, yeah, Milk Bar. What about it?
Like, okay, that's... I'm just waiting, like, again, where I was like, I feel like you guys I don't even know every single one of your clients right now, but I'm just, like, waiting that maybe now where it's like, if we were to go through your roster, I'd be like, what? Yeah.
I would have to say, like, we don't have any, like, super, like, that's a 2024 goal that I have. Like, maybe now I'm, like, I'm going to fixate on Milk Bar, like, they're, like, coming in. But a 2024 goal of mine is, like, I want a client who either is super, like, well-known regionally, nationally. Yeah. They're, like, they have a product in a store, like a Target, a Sephora, like, something, like, or even, like, a Whole Foods, like, because we work with a lot of, like, lifestyle, like, e-com brands. Like, it could really kind of go, like, direct to consumer is what I guess I say we, like, work with a lot.
Mark my words. This time next year, Jessica and I will both have a client who is in a retailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. This time next year.
Yeah, that's one thing, like, because I know a couple of people, and I'm not gonna like name drop the like brands or the people because I just gotta keep that confidential. Confidential because they're big brands. I respect them too. Yeah. But like I know a couple of people like freelancers and agencies who work with some pretty like cool brands, and like I'll go down the grocery store and I'm like, okay, like that's their client. Like just like how cool would that be?
Yes,
like,
and then again
Yeah, so that's
hopefully like brands too, where it's like we have the buzzing blonde or social savvy doing our social media. It's like, you're a pretty big deal.
That's like one thing that I really think like I wish like more brands, like as I meet some like cool clients and work with them, like I wish more brands would look, because like, so people ask me,
already
like,
know where you're going
social
with
savvy
this.
an
Yes,
agency?
yes.
And so, okay, I had this conversation with Ryan, and I have to say it's so nice to like have conversations with you guys about business and social, because I like say things to Ryan, and he's probably like, okay, like enough is enough, because I'll have the same conversation subconsciously until he tells me like the answer that I like want to hear. I'm like, no, this is what advice you'll give me, but I'm giving it to you to give me.
Brennan's the same way.
And so it's one of those things where like having like the conversations around like different things is just is crazy. But yeah, having the conversation around like different things that could happen, like should I do this, like should I do that, like I don't know, it's good to have them with like different people. But so well, we've had so much fun. Should we look at did we touch everything? I feel like we might have a couple of
so we talked about the meeting in person, our initial reactions, conversations we've had, which I think we've kind of given you guys a glimpse into, honestly, real conversations that we've had just in the past 2 days. Planning and pivoting again. Okay, I feel like we need to talk about, so we talked about how like Harmony's playing got in later, had to kind of pivot that. One other thing that we had to pivot was, okay, let me back it up too. So when we knew when we started planning for this photo shoot, again, the social media manager and me, the content creator and me, the influencer and me was like, okay, I'm going to start reaching out to some brands like the Airbnb and this other location where I was like, again, we put together our mood board. Hopefully you get the vibe that when you see these pictures, it was like kind of retro, very glam and just fun. Like honestly, just fun. Jessica said that in the beginning, where our photo shoots in the past, like just felt very professional. And one thing I want to mention too is like, so we're in colorful pajamas right now, but our Airbnb and our second venue was very colorful. And I was like, when we were planning our outfits, I was like, let's go with neutrals. And I honestly feel like there was like a weight lifted off of all of us, and like almost like a sigh of like, yes, because it's just like we all feel more comfortable in neutrals, which is hilarious to both of us because both of our brands are so colorful, literally so colorful. But again, we're neutral, low key, high key, neutral girlies. So anyways, planning that. And so, so I started, reaching out to the Airbnb and the second venue, and you'll see like I already shared a little bit of the cookie cake that we bought, and just I don't know, in general, small business. Again, you guys will see who we tag like in our pictures, but it took, so the original Airbnb, again, it got booked and they got back to us later. So I was like, well, okay, that happened. I didn't reach out to the second Airbnb.
Right. The timing was so
close. Where I was just like, I think we were in fight or flight mode almost, where it happened. Like I was at a cute little place here when Jessica was about to book it. And then she was like, that's what it was. I was in a meeting. And she was like, it just got booked up. Or maybe both of us. Both of us were in honestly in meetings we're like, oh God.
Yeah. I like one of my meetings got pushed back a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh, I have a window. And then I'm like, it's gone. How did it literally get gone so quick? Because it's like the odds of it happening were crazy.
Yes. Seriously, it was like Monday, Tuesday. We were like,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we got in contact with the second venue. And how I was pitching it too, I feel like this is important too, where it was kind of fun. And it was funny to me because it's like Jessica and I, and obviously you who's listening, social media manager, like you guys may also get pitches from influencers or other, like if you have an account, like again, if you're working with whatever type of clients, like you might be getting pitches, like those DMs, right? Okay. So obviously Jessica and I have been on that side of the screen as well. And I'm decided I'm going to add some humor where it's like, I hope this isn't, your stereotypical pitch that you're getting. Like, honestly, I'm just,
Yeah, and it was a great pitch too. I have to say.
Yeah, where it's like, because if anything, I was like, I just want to like be friends with their social media manager. Where it's like, hey, like a shameless, plug to where it's like we have this social media online business podcast. Like we love your work. Like, would you want to be on the podcast? Essentially.
Yeah. And a super quick interjection. Yeah. But a pitch is a pitch.
Yeah.
Like, I think so many people are always like, stop the cold pitches, stop the cold DMs, the cold emails. Like, you gotta just rip the Band-Aid off. There's no other way to do it.
And I will read, like, again, where it's like you read, like, again, I'm sure you like also go into your like requested, half the time it's spam, half the time, but I'm still scanning it because maybe somehow like a follower did end up somehow like in that folder, that request folder.
Yeah.
And so I got through to them and I got excited where I was like, okay. And then the process started where they're like, email this person. And I'm like, okay, cool. It started that whole process, kept getting emails literally the day before. So Sunday, right? Sunday.
Yeah.
They got back to me and they're like, hi, so no problem, but we normally charge a $500 fee. And if you're approved kind of thing where like you need to give us like 24 hours notice, like blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. This is Sunday night.
Yeah.
Our shoot is on Monday. Or no, maybe it was Monday. It was Monday because it was...
But Monday to Tuesday.
Monday to Tuesday, literally not
Monday
even...
Monday email, Tuesday shoot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I texted... Again, Jessica's about to board her flight where I'm just like, ooh, what do we do? Mm-hmm. And I, before Jessica said anything, this is just shows you how in sync Jessica and I are, I believe, and just like business besties, true. Because in my head, I was thinking, no, I'm still going to show up. Because we were showing up literally right as they opened. I was just like, we will order a coffee or whatever, and we're just going to go with it. We're just going to, we're going to go with it.
Yeah, we did a little coffee, did a little breakfast. It's like, okay, we're here. We're not just coming in trying to like, take over the place. And it just opened. I think that's a great time. I get, depending on the light and different things, that it might affect it depending on what that time is that they open. But I think if you're going there, if you're being respectful, like, because also for me, like, what's that saying? We had a client say this on a meeting last week, and I thought it was so funny, but it was like, I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission.
Oh, that's my favorite.
That has been in my head since, like, he said that. I'm like, you know what? And I was thinking about that when you sent us the email, and I'm like, that's what we're going to do.
That's honest.
Because what's the worst that could happen? They kick us out, we stop, we go to another location.
And we did. And so that just, again, where it's like, so I sent that without even telling Jessica, where I was like, kind of I was like, let's see what Jessica says too. She said the same thing I was thinking. I was like, okay, yep, same page. But, that's kind of always been my motto though. Like the whole, I've always kind of feel like I've navigated business, again, not maybe in the beginning because I like still like the baby grasshopper where I was like scared. And I mean, there's sometimes still where I'm like asking for clients' approval, but sometimes you just have to rip the Band-Aid off, and it's just like hope for the best, where it's like, again, and trust yourself, trust your intuition to be like, no, I do know, like, I do know what I'm doing, I do know what I'm saying, like, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, and it's a
confidence thing too,
and like, I think it helps like build a trust with your client, because for all of our clients, it's so different. Certain things I'll send over. Like, some clients I'll send over something. Some we send over nothing. Like, we've worked with them for a while. Like, it is what it is. It's good. If we need to pull it down, like, we can. Like, there's some clients that I'll ask them about the small things. Some clients I'll only ask them about the big things. It just depends. It's hard to say.
Do you have it? Here's an interview question. Do you have any clients who, like, they, like, you might send it over for approval, but they just trust you, like, where it's just like they literally don't even, they're just kind of like whatever.
And I can tell I can tell by how quickly they get back to me, like, either and how quickly, or if I send them over multiple things and they shoot it all over like right away, I'm like, okay, cool, like, like, you looked at it, it's fine. But I think it like kind of helps them stay in the loop. If I notice that, or if I see like maybe they're not getting to the approvals right away or anything like that, I'm like, do we need to just remove this bottleneck, like, out of the process? Like, we can do that. Yeah.
That's, I have, right, again, the boutique owner where it's just, and again, I would say like some clients where I always show every month though. I show, like, again, it's like that approval process, but it is kind of, it's awesome where it's like, we'll be sitting there. She's like, yep, love it. I'm like, she won't even look at the caption. Right. Like, are you sure? Yep. Cool. Yeah. And I love sometimes clients where, like you said, where they understand too, where it's like, I always, again, maybe we haven't talked about this, but ChatGPT, I'll sometimes always put a caption through ChatGPT, just be like, is this grammatically correct? Is this like spelt good? That like just for myself. Yeah. But let's say something slips. She'll just be like, oh, can you just fix that? Like, but again, I've had clients where, again, I definitely feel, and I feel for those listening who, if you have the clients who like you accidentally like make a spelling or grammatical error into your client, it's like, it is literally the end of the world. And you and I both know it's not that deep. I promise you, if anything, it's going to boost I guarantee you, it's going to boost that engagement. 100%.
Can I confess something? I feel like I need like a social media manager confession.
We should have. Okay, we still have time, but it's like, I feel like we need to set up this confessional camera with all three of us. I don't know.
Oh, right.
Confess. Yeah. We should. Okay, that's what we should do.
So I know we're like running out of daylight. We gotta speed this up. So my confession is, I love when I find like a mistake that's on like a client's website, that's on like an important marketing material, that's on something that's like not like created by me or like the team, because obviously then it's like, okay, I'll own it, like we can fix it, it's not the end of the world, like we're not doing crazy work here, we're social media managers, like we're not saving lives, right. But I'll think about it from the standpoint, if I see something from that, I don't know why, but I love when I find that. Because I'm like, look what I just found. I'm coming in as the hero. And it is so stupid. Like, no, it's so small.
I think because
it makes me feel great. I'm like, hey, did you know there's this really embarrassing typo on your homepage? Like, or this link is broken? Because also, too, I'm also like, we got to fix that. Like, that's a bad user experience. But look what I got.
I think, yes, I feel that way, especially because I think I've been so scarred from like when I first started. Oh my gosh, like that, like seriously, I had so many clients where it really affects you, where it's like, and so I feel like I'm making up for lost time of like where I'm like, he. But okay, I have a confession. Okay, this kind of related. So speaking of marketing materials, so recently, so the boutique will do, we do farmers market. And originally, this goes back to the ask for forgiveness later type of thing. So I made this little flyer that we plan on handing out at the farmers market. And originally, the owner wanted a QR code with like a discount. She wanted to get people to the storefront on King Street. Okay, so like the farmers market is on King Street, but like King Street, you guys, like we literally walked it. It's long. It really is. Like you have upper and lower King Street. And so like the farmers market is probably like in between, but again, where it's like we want them to go to the store because we have more there. And so originally we discussed doing a QR code for 10% off in store. Okay. Last minute, I just decided, because we've been testing out 10% on so much. Like when a new follower follows us, I'll send a message and it's like 10% off your online or in-store using this code. Again, for those of you guys, if you're not doing that, but like e-commerce, I love that. Is so sad. Like that is my favorite thing, because I'm like, yes, because then it's like when I get to see how many people you like, that is like so the social proof. You're like, yay. Okay. Anyways, I also hope you guys are like watching this for you guys fully get the Maddie or the Madeleine like facial reactions. Anyways, I last minute switched it to 20% off because I was just like, I don't think that would get 10% would get me in. Like it wouldn't. So I print them, 500 of them, guys, 500. I show the owner, and she honestly, she's like, Madeleine. And I was like, I explained it. I was like, I understand. And she, this is the best thing. And this goes back to trust. She like at first kind of had a heart attack. I gave her a heart attack. I had a heart attack too, because I'm like, am I getting fired? She goes, you know what? She's like, I'm happy you did it, because she was like, I needed to be pushed out of my comfort zone. And she's like, you are right. We need to test it. And I told her, though, I was like, here's my thought process. I was like, people, because it is very sustainable. I was like, we will take, I go, it's going to be one time. I go, and we will, I was like, I will train the staff on you. Like, when they bring it in, we take it and like almost like mark it so that we know, like a little mark that we know that it has been used.
Yes. Yeah. Good idea. Yeah. Oh, I love that. But you have to think about it from like the business owner's perspective. Sometimes it's like, what is that additional 10% on your bottom line for getting some more foot traffic, like in the store?
Yes. And I think I think she realized that again, where I was just like, oh my God, like this could have gone south. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just the confidence thing this year where I was like, no, like. And again, it was, she was like in Maui, and I was like, no, I'm gonna do it. But I remind you all, I seriously, when I was like hovering the purchase button, I was like, do it.
Yeah.
No, we're doing it. Okay.
Yeah. You're like,
no going back
everything. Now. Yep. No, but I love that though, and I think sometimes I like that. That's like our theme. Like, oh gosh, is that like a working title for like this episode?
Yes.
Like,
okay.
But no, I think that's so good because sometimes like you can really like help clients get out of their comfort zone, and they just like need to. Like, I know personally, like I'll like always get back and like it's safe, right?
Even this photo shoot in general. Like, I think, and again, I think anytime you are spending money like on your business, like before the photo shoot, I told Brennan, I forget if I told you guys this, like, it's been a while since, like, spending money on the buzzing blonde in general. Like, I know this is, like, we've used this, like, as, like, mostly hashtag managed, but obviously we're going to kill how many birds with one stone. Yeah. And this, like, okay, we're still small businesses. But I feel like I had, like, this, like, low-key anxiety attack. And this, like, when I was talking this through with Brennan, literally I got the phone call about the wedding the next day where I was like, okay, universe. Yeah. Okay, God. Okay, higher power. I see you. Yeah. Okay, where it's like, again, where it's like, and I'm a firm believer now in like, it's the energy behind money. Like, I really, where it's like, where it's like, if it's good and just, it's gonna keep coming. It's gonna keep coming.
Yeah. But, okay. I know we're getting really close to time that we probably need to wrap up, but before, I think this would be fun. I was like, because I feel like you asked me a lot of questions. I think I only asked you one, so I need to like hit you with another.
Did we get any? Probably not.
Quick.
Did not get any.
Okay, no worries. We're just checking our live that we did before, which actually we didn't even say it when we started, but we did an Instagram live at the start of this to see if we got any questions, but none came through, which is totally fine. We appreciate you guys listening all the way to the end of this episode. Yes. And I know it's a fun one. Okay, last question that I'll ask before we wrap up for this like special edition episode. What has been the best and the worst investment that you've made in your business?
Ooh. Okay. Let me think of. Ooh.
Do you let me know if you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Like, I have mine.
Yes,
I'm just like, I'm also like
first.
asking my.
Yes, you go first. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna start with my worst investment, and this is gonna be like a really, really hot take, and I'm not trying to loop everyone who does this in on the thing, but my worst investment was a business coach in 2021.
The fact that I didn't even know you had a business coach.
Yeah, no, it was so bad. Like, it was the most expensive. Can I drop how much it was?
Yeah,
like, you might.
I'm curious.
You might like.
Let's be transparent.
You guys might like kill me. Like, honestly, like, it was over the course of 12 months.
Wait, can I guess?
It was over
because I feel like you may have mentioned. But so
over the course of
20,000.
No.
Okay,
now I feel better.
Okay. I don't, because business coaches, I'm just like...
It was 10,000.
That's still, like...
Which, at the time, like, in 2021, so it was the very start. It was December of 2020 that I, like, did the whole, like, sales calls with them and onboarding process. And actually, I knew a couple of people who worked with this coach and went through this exact, like, coaching program. And they were ex-clients. And I was like, okay, I trust them. Like, they're ex-clients. I went through it, and worst... Like, I was locked in. I, like, couldn't get out of the, like, contract. So I tried to, like, make the most out of it. And it just was, like, to get, like, coaching that, and again, not to loop every business coach in on this, but I do think my experience with business coaches has not been the greatest, and I really, please don't come in my DMs because I'm not at that point. Like, there's so many other things that like I know we should do to scale, and I at this point I don't need a business coach to do it. I feel like there's a lot of great like people in my life that can help me get to that point, because in the past it's all cookie cutter things that get me nowhere. And I will say the people that I connected with in the program, like I said, I knew people who did it. It was very impersonal. And I felt like for that price point, like at least hello, I need some like one-on-one, like with the, or something. Yeah. Like it was one of those programs that was kind of like, you know, sometimes you hear like hustle culture is like so much. It's like, you have to like put in all this work. And I'm like, if I'm spending all this money, like give me something. Yeah. Like on a silver platter. Like like, I need something.
Did you even get like, I feel like a business coaches, did you get like any cute like swag, like a onboarded like welcome, like where it's like
nothing?
I'm sorry if I am spending that much money.
Absolutely nothing.
I'm sorry if I'm spending like, I'd say $2,000. Like I'm sorry, like $2,000 to $3,000. I expect a hat or something. Like I'm sorry, I expect something. Like, and at that point, I too, like I want a gift. Like I want to gift you something, so you are my walking billboard.
Yeah, the business coach, she did get a Tesla that year, so.
Oh no.
Which in hindsight, I think Teslas are a lot like cheaper than they once were. So I feel like I can't really like.
But not even hat.
So
or a water bottle.
So that was my worst. That was my worst investment. Okay. I've had some other like not so great investments, and honestly, like when I think about I like to think about all of the investments I've made are 100% my choice. Like, I really don't think that I do like impulse buying or impulse shopping for the business. Okay, now I'm like,
that's gonna be it. Okay.
So like I go through it, and like so. Ryan like helps with like business finances, and I rented, and he's much more subjective. Like he's like, whoa, you know, I'm definitely a little bit more emotional than he is for sure. I'm like, no, we need this. Like everything's on the line. I'm like so dramatic. Like, so that's like some other not so great. And I think I talked about this in a previous episode, which we could definitely talk about like in depth, like hiring and things, because like I feel like I've learned like the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so that's
the title of one.
Working title on that one too. And I think my best investment, honestly, like not to be like super like corny, but I think it was like everything like we're doing for this one, like this any brand photo shoot has been the best investment, probably because like I did our own website. To be honest, I don't know if I could ever invest in a full website like build. There's definitely a lot of websites that I love.
Yes, I'm so tempted.
And I see designers, and they do some killer stuff, because we have Squarespace. Like, yours on Squarespace too, right? Or
no? So I actually recently switched to Show It, and like again, it's working.
Yeah, really.
Like literally, I just realized like I'm so bad. I'm so lazy. Like. There's a working link, like, but there's like so one of the templates I bought, it's like from a wellness coach type of thing, and I'm like the image, I'm like, I can't wait to get these pictures back.
Right to update it. So I
will say, copy too, where I'm like, nope, it's time, Maddie.
I will say our branding. Maybe I'll loop that, like brand photos and branding, best investments ever.
Yes. Okay. So let me start with the worst. So I am an impulsive person. That is the ADHD in me. And I would say I have spent so much money trying to find my systems. Like like where it's like, seriously, I've spent so much money on Asana courses, and just like I just couldn't. And again, where I'm able to work in Asana with you guys, and it's like, I think eventually maybe I will go back to Asana, but it's just, what is that syndrome called, where it's like the shiny
object.
Yes. Yeah. And I am that way with my systems. And I think this year, again, we're how many years into our business?
Like 6.
6. Okay. Like, and it's like taken me 6 years to, and I'm still kind of figuring out, like, that's why I love and appreciate Jessica. Like, and honestly, I feel like I'm like, again, you're always learning. And it's just kind of like seeing her, again, we talked about this on the last podcast, but I'm like, ooh, I get into her systems, and I'm like, Oh, that's smart. Yeah. I feel like I should honestly be paying her to, like, get a peek into her systems where I'm like, ooh. But again, I know, like, we've talked about things where it's like, you know, you've, like, wanted to, like, kind of do YouTube. And I'm like, no. Like, let me be the guinea pig where I'm like, where I'm like, I'm just, like, proof. Like, let this be social proof where I'm like, you will want to buy that course. You will 100% want to buy that course. So, again, like, right now I'm using Airtable, but I feel like I've tried everything under the sun. Mm-hmm. So, and it's on me. That's on me. Yeah. So that would be the worst. Yeah. But again, where it's like, I feel like systems is a hard, once you nail it, and it's like smooth sailing, but just, that's like, if you don't really have, and like, again, I hope this message finds the right person too, where it's like, if you are kind of feeling overwhelmed, like, no, like, that's why I was so overwhelmed. I think in my, like, burnout stage too, is just, it's hard when you don't have, like, the routine and system. Anyways, best investment, yes, branding. Yeah. Branding, 100% branding. Yeah. Yeah. It's just because it's like Apple. Like, I mean, that's the best way where I want people to know, like, that eventually one day where it's like the colors, where it's like my orange right now, where it's like, I want you to associate that with me. Yeah. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I love the profile photo.
Oh, that I changed? I know, like...
I love that, because I see it's so, like, bold, and I'm like, I already know. Like,
yes. Well, it's funny, because I think you guys did this on a thread. I think Harmony did this on a thread where you guys pulled your logo or a profile picture. And I loved seeing what people said, because I'm like, so many people are like both, and I'm like, it is where I'm like, I know that I'm the buzzing blonde, so it's like, normally I do, like, I just recently changed it to just me, but I had my B there for the longest time, and I feel like eventually I might bring it back, but I'm like, no, I just, knowing that there's so many new faces, and again, I know I show my face on my stories and on the grid, but I was just like, yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Oh, I love that we're, like, in sync on the best. And yeah. Oh, I love
that. Again, it's like, literally, it's like we've known each other.
Yeah. Which is crazy, 6 years. Just thinking about it, like, I mean, obviously, like, I've never, like, I mean, this is, like, the longest, like, job that I've held, like, because, I mean, high school and college, like, I just jumped around, honestly, whatever would pay me more, right? Like, okay, you're paying for school, you're paying for living, it's like, okay, whatever's gonna, like, pay the bills and then more. But it's crazy to think, like, sticking with the same thing for 6 years, and I know, like, there's been so many different, like, evolutions, like, there's been, like, and, like, for you, too, like, there's been, for me, like, the solopreneur side, the more passive side, the, like, scale, okay, no, go back passive, now I feel like we're, like, leaning more into, like, services, and I don't know, like, I feel like it's gonna look different in 3 months, and in 6 and in 9, and, it's crazy to just, like, think about, but, okay, well, I know we're, like, getting to the end, and we're probably, like, really close to the time, so I'm trying not to, we can probably have this be, like, the longest podcast ever, but then Harmony will kill us, so, like, have to end, and then YouTube and, like, like, our, like, hosting will take forever to, like, publish it, so we don't want to affect it when it goes up. But if you guys made it this far and you're watching or listening, wherever you are, thank you so much for making it to the very end. We hope you love this, like, in-person podcast, and it's so fun.
I really hope this is, like, the most viewed YouTube. Like, I really hope some of you guys actually watch this, because I feel like, we could, like, embed it into the Social Club newsletter, by the way.
#manage.com. Sign up for the Social Club. Send us a hotline, #hotline, by the way. We haven't gotten one yet. And honestly, like, I'm going to go on a limb. Like, let's send something special to the first person who submits a #hotline. I don't know what it is, so I can't, like, say it.
I do, but it didn't come in time.
Okay, yeah. But, like, let's send it to someone.
Yes.
Just send us a hotline. Like, it can be 30 seconds. You just go, click, leave that voice memo. It could be a review of the podcast. It could be a water cooler. Like,
anything.
It could be anything.
Literally anything. A confessional. Yeah. I wouldn't mind a confession, which is kind of like our water cooler segment.
A question, anything at all. There's no right or wrong answer. You can say your name, you can say your business, or you could just be 100%. Well, actually, when you submit it, let us know who you are, because we want to send you that thing. But if you record, you can be anonymous.
I feel like I had one last comment to make. Again, I hope this is I feel like this is going to be the most viewed YouTube, obviously. If it's not, I'm going to be upset.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, okay.
I think it will be. It will be.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys know the drill. Leave a review if you haven't yet. Follow the show. Turn on the notification bell. Subscribe on YouTube. We don't have many YouTube subscribers, but hey,
we'll be in our YouTube era eventually.
Yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to another episode. We'll be back next week in our own separate abodes. Yes. But thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you haven't already, hit that follow button, and if you really love us, be sure to subscribe wherever you are listening from.
And if you want to be one of our online besties, you can shoot us a DM over at #managed on Instagram and let us know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode. Or, you could also share all your deepest, darkest secrets. Kidding, but we mean it when we say you can shoot us a DM. We love building real, authentic relationships with you.